to investigate Ada's story and the loss of so many of her children. Martin's returning to Hull, where she spent her married life.
She's my great-grandmother, so she's as much a part of my story as Richard is. She was a mum raising 6 children, and that's not easy in any situation, and my guess is it's not made any easier by both of the parents being blind.
As Martin arrives back in Hull, he receives a phone call from genealogist Jenny Thomas.
Hello there.
Hello, Martin.
Yes.
I've been having a look again at your dad's side of the family,
Yeah.
and I've managed to track down a living relative of Ada and Richard.
Oh, really?
He's called Nick Myers.
Right.
He is a grandson of Ada and Richard. He's the son of their daughter Mabel.
Really? Okay. Blimey.
And he lives in Hull.
Right, yeah. Thought you might.
So I recommend that you look him up.
Yes.
Try and go and see him. You never know what he might have about the family.
Thank you very much, Jenny. I'm quite well boned up on Richard now, you know. Just because we haven't heard about her life yet doesn't mean she didn't have one. She had a life, presumably one beyond Richard. She was 20 years younger. I guess she was around on the planet after he was. Hi.
Hello, Martin.
Mick, is it?
Nice to see you.
Very
It's
nice
Mick,
to meet you.
yeah, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
yeah.
to meet you.
Thanks for
Come on,
having me.
Thanks.
Cheers. Thank you.
Come in anyway. Okay. Yes, yeah, come in then.
Thanks,
Martin. That's
Ada as well.
I think that's not your 1930 something.
That's a great picture.
Yeah.
So do you know anything about how Richard and Ada would have met?
Well, the story from the family is that Grandma was singing on Victoria Pier, and Richard heard her singing, and he was attracted by that, and got talking to her, and that's how it all developed from there.
It was amazing to see that he'd married a much younger blind girl, you know, who was also musical.
Yeah, because she used to busk around the theatres in Hull. There was a Tivoli Theatre, Little Theatre, which is a new theatre now. She used to go around the queues, busking.
Do you remember your grandparents at all?
I remember Grandma, really.
Yeah.
She potted about in the house, and she could cook, do the washing, all sorts of things. Even being blind. And she could, sew. She used to thread needles, put them in her tongue, and put the thread through like that. How she did it, I don't know. There's another photograph. Now this, Grandma, she's reading the Braille newspaper. She used to get the Radio Times and a newspaper. She used to get books from the library at Manchester, big Braille books, and she used to read them, all the Daphne du Maurier and Wuthering Heights and things like that, and Charles Dickens. And
did she?
She just read it, it was marvellous.
Yeah. And was she blind from birth?
Well, I think about 3, because she had some eye trouble.
Really?
And her mother put some drops in. This is the story I've heard.
Yeah.
And they didn't, they made sent her blind, actually, so it was a bit of a tragedy.
God, that's horrendous.
Yeah.
Blimey. Do you know when, Grandad Richard died? When did he...
In 1915.
Was it?
Yeah. So he was about 64 or something like that. Because he was 20 years older than Grandma.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Grandma married a Mr. Ellis in 1923.
Really?
And he was an organist as well, a musician.
Was he?
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah. And then she married another, Grandad Rhodes, in 1940.
Really?
So she was a wartime bride.
So she was married twice after Richard?
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing, the fact that she's embarking on another life, having already done all the things she's done. Oh, that's fascinating. I know Ada better than I know anyone in this story now, because I've just spoken to Mick. And once you have that human contact, it becomes tangible, and it becomes like a real person, and really, really not very far removed. She looks like quite an amazing woman, really. No, they packed a lot in, Richard and Ada, and had a lot of awful, dreadful tragedy as far as losing children is concerned.
I mean, I'm curious about how they died. I mean, first and foremost, as a human being and as a father, I don't think you could not be moved by children dying at an obscenely young age. I have no idea why they died or how they died. But yeah, of course, I'd be curious to know. I don't anticipate finding out the answer, though.